Hey guys, before I get into the video, I was wondering if you could leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If we could get to 50 likes, that would be awesome. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe if you enjoy my content. And I'm just going to get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about future DC games from Warner Brothers and what Warner Brothers games would need to do if they want to stick these characters in a bigger, expanded universe in terms of gaming. So if they want to stick it out for the long haul with characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Justice League, all in the same gaming universe and have, alternate games but within the same continuity, some of the steps they would need to take. And the first one would be, I'd say don't reboot Arkham. I think that it has a great base to launch this type of universe. And I know that I speculated a little bit in my last video that if Rocksteady is in fact making a Titans game, which in some ways it kind of seems they are, and they might not, but it could be, if they're doing that, it's very plausible that this narratively could be a sequel to Batman Arkham Knight, and with that, it could also set up a Justice League game. Now, here's what I think that they need to do. First of all, we think we're getting a Batman game later this year from WB Montreal. That's sort of the big rumor going on. And also, we're thinking that we're going to get Rocksteady's next game sometime next year, and that will be some form of team-based superhero game. Now, I actually think that Titans from Rocksteady would be really smart because it could sort of work like a proto-Justice League game where they could flesh out some of the issues with that with that type of game, because you'd have to switch with different characters with different abilities that are similar to the Justice League, and I think that that would be a smart way to test this type of game. So you do Titans and you introduce the Justice League, you start, hinting at them, maybe showing some of them, have a few appear in the story, and what I do is that then I'd have WB Games Montreal work on The Flash or Wonder Woman or Superman or something like that, a different IP than Batman that we haven't seen yet. So I'd like to see some kind of new IP, Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, I don't really care. But one of them who's still a big selling IP that will make a lot of money for Warner Brothers, probably The Flash actually would be pretty ideal, but there's a lot that they could do. My point is, I think that we need to see a few different characters. We need to see some kind of team-based game to see how the Justice League games will work, and if they need Green Lantern somewhere down the road. But they also need to stay very consistent with their single-player games. And so I think that what they should do is have like 3 or 4 IPs get a single-player game. So like Flash, Superman, we already have a bunch of Batman, maybe Wonder Woman, and then what you do is you combine them all in a Justice League game, and you can combine the maps to make it a big open-world experience. You use the mechanics from the Titans game in terms of switching with multiplayer. If they decide to do microtransactions, which I think is stupid, but they're hiring people for it, so it's possible that they could be in the game. And hopefully, if they are doing Titans, they can learn very quickly that microtransactions do not fly with the public. But I think that after that, they could kind of do whatever they wanted in terms of the IPs and sequels and spin-offs, because it would be so established, and both the people who play it for the gameplay mechanics and the people who play it for the stories would be satisfied, I think, because they're both getting games that appeal in different ways to each of those desires. And I don't know, I personally feel like that would be a great route to take, and something that, they're competing with Marvel games, so they need to pull out some big guns and get ready to fight for the fan base, I guess. Another thing is that I think Warner Brothers should hire like 2 indie studios. Now, I know like a lot of people always question me like, why indie studios? Because really the hardest part of making a game is not like the actual game itself, but it's setting up the code, it's setting up the character models, it's creating all the assets. Putting it together and like creating the story and voice acting and stuff, that's fairly easy in comparison, at least from my personal experience working with it. And so it's interesting to me that they don't hire smaller studios to make sequels. So what you do is you have WB Games Montreal make a big Superman game, they create Metropolis, they create the character models, the big open world, all the crazy big superpowers, and then you have an indie studio that can add on to it a little bit if they feel like they're adequate, and then they can just kind of create the sequel. And that way we could be getting a DC game every single year, we could be getting sequels, and we could also be getting new IPs, and I think that that would be a great way for them to go forward. Another thing is that then you have another indie studio that does remakes, and I would say remasters, but remasters has basically just become a term for a port, a really lazy port. So I'd say have one of them do remakes, or at least keep the games and update their assets to keep them current for current gen consoles. And I think that in the long run, just keeping the whole universe, all the games in this universe in a package, in terms of like you can get them all on the same console and they're coming out at a regular pace. Like, I think even annually would be fine if we're getting a different IP each year. Like, we get Batman one year, Flash the next year, Superman the next year, then another Batman game. I think that'd be fine, and there wouldn't be a lot of fatigue, I don't think, and it would satisfy sort of the broader DC community as well. But anyways, thanks again so much, you guys, for watching. Again, please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What IPs would you like to see? How do you think Warner Brothers should go ahead with this with their DC gaming properties? And thanks again. We'll see you guys in the next one.